This episode of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday is sponsored by Adam the Historian Ghost Hunter, tour guide, urban explorer, podcaster, vodcaster, and host of the Historically Haunted Vodcast. The Historically Haunted Vodcast is live every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook, and you can catch the replay on his YouTube channel, youtube.com at Historically Haunted. That's youtube.com/@ Historically Haunted, the Historically Haunted Vodcast. You will be fascinated.
Tonight, greetings, fellow travelers. As the week reaches its thrilling midpoint, we're broadcasting from the mountains of West Virginia. Embrace the spirit of adventure as you join us on this daring journey through the untamed wilderness of Let's Find Out with Diego. Bonus Overdrive Wednesday.
It's time to find out with Diego. Let's go. Ooh, yeah.
On this episode of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, from childhood, GrimRock immersed himself with the sounds that would shape his musical style. He started with the raw energy of the mid to late 60s garage rock, then devoured the thunderous riffs of the 70s and 80s heavy metal. His musical journey continued through the 90s, embracing dynamic shifts of alternative and grunge. This diverse blend of styles has forged a musician who embodies the past while carving out a distinct path, earning him the titles of the Pennsylvania Purveyor of Rock and the New Prince of Darkness. All this plus more. Please welcome a new friend and first-time guest, GrimRock. GrimRock, my friend, welcome to Bonus Overdrive Wednesday.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh man, I was on the pre-interview. We're having a conversation, and I'm loving everything that you're doing, man. Because you're, as me, I'm a one-man band. You're a one-man band, and we have our supporters and people that really help us along the way. But man, you're out there. You're giving it your all. You're 100%. I'm watching your videos. You're killing that guitar, man, and you're entertaining the people, and you're doing it your way.
Yeah, I love being a solo artist. You know, it used to be frowned upon. You know, earlier. You know, in the '80s and even the '90s. You know, early '90s. And but now it's way more accepted, and it's a fun time, man. It's good to be out there and in front of people like this. I think it shocks people, see, there's a full big sound out of just one man anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's one of like you mentioned that it's very rare that you see that. I think back in the past, I think if we were growing up, I could maybe name even one or two, but I think one that comes out, and it's not that you do the same kind of gimmick like Weird Al. He's his own thing right there. He's the brand. He's what does everything. And but no, well, so let's start from the beginning. And
Mhm.
I'm sure you've probably been asked this question 1,000 times, and maybe it'd be 1,001 today. So, who is GrimRock, and where did he come from?
GrimRock was actually a fictitious thing at one time. This whole look and outfit and things came from a Halloween party, and it was very different. It looked similar, but it was different. In fact, to be more Halloween costumish versus the generally grim you see on stage. It's adapted to today, but Grim was a nickname of mine for a long time, and I've always used it. And the whole GrimRock thing came about that I had wrote down like GrimRock Limited. Like I was wanting to do some kind of business, but I didn't know what to do with it. And when I ended up getting into this phase of being brought back into music again, I decided GrimRock would be good, for that. And so my look has changed a little bit, but it's pretty much all there.
And with the look that a lot of artists, as they go by in their careers, it changes slightly, but they finally find a point where everything just the stars are aligned and everything works perfectly. How long did it take for you to come up with your current look? How many phases did you go through?
I went through about 3 phases, and a lot of people ask me, well, what inspired you with look? And the first things I get are like Kiss and King Diamond. And yeah, sure, absolutely. You know what I mean? But there's a guy by the name of Arthur Brown that I think there probably was somebody before him, I'm sure, because there's always been a first before a first, you think. But Crazy World of Arthur Brown, man, I seen the video little thing they had for Fire on there and what he looked like and how he sounded. And I was like, man, this is insane. I love it. And that's really where the look started from. And then it just evolved from, from that kind of thing and seeing other artists like Kiss, King Diamond and so forth, Ghost, and things like that.
Well, and speaking of, talking about bands, now that did you originally begin with other members and play different bands, or do you always mission always to be a solo artist?
No, I had different phases. I had full bands. I had done things myself. I had a duo with a guy named Clayton that really pushed the whole original music thing, for me. And then got hooked up with some other people during that, and just ended up solo.
I mean, there's some advantages to that in a way, I think, where
There is.
you don't have to run a whole lot of ideas through anybody else because you're your own filter and you're your own creator. You get to do how you want it to do. And speaking of doing things the way you want to do, you have the look, you have the sound. Now, you've embraced a wide range of musical eras, a lot of genres, from 60s all the way through the 90s. Now, is there a particular decade or genre that you feel most resonates with you personally, your personal style today?
Not one particular one. I think I got everything from all the decades that you'd mentioned. You know what I mean? I think the thing that really just started it all was the early garage rock. I found 45s and albums that my dad had in the basement of my mom's house. And started listening to that and was just blown away by the raw energy, of those kind of bands. And then, getting into like later on the Black Sabbath and then everywhere else, in the rock, metal, Led Zeppelin, you name it, the big ones, even Nick Drake. I love Nick Drake and I know he's not heavy metal and all this stuff, but still how he does things, it really influenced me, how he writes, how he interprets, the music and writes it himself the way he does, all the way through.
So, you're talking about all your influences and how it cultivated you to being the person you are today. How does the a typical songwriting day look for you, my friend? Because you have a diverse style, so I know you have to sew it together and just make it sound your own. So how do you manage all that together?
So usually it starts with an acoustic guitar. A lot of my tracks started with an acoustic guitar or even an old idea that I had kept on a cassette somewhere, or whatnot. But most of it starts on the guitar, and then I might not even use it right away. So I have like this catalog of song starters that I fish through all the time and listen, like, oh, this might work now for this particular album or EP, or no, it's not there yet. I don't know what to do with it. It's usually acoustic guitar, and a good example of that's GrimRock Radio. GrimRock Radio, when I went to do that particular EP, I wanted a GrimRock song. Iron Butterfly had the Iron Butterfly theme, and there's all these people that have their own themes, if you will. And I wanted a GrimRock one, and I couldn't figure it out. And I went through many interpretations of what this song would have been until I ended up using an acoustic track that I had made for a TikTok account as my first video. Didn't even think about it at that time until later. I picked up my electric and played the same riff, and I was like, no, this is it. This is it for sure. You know, so it's just a lot of trial and error, and you know what sounds good for what I do for that particular moment.
And in the spirit of the same question about the writing these songs, so what do you normally write about?
Oh, it's a variety of everything. I mean, I could sit there and write about everything from love, death to out of body experiences to anything. And plus, I have other writers too. It's just not I'm just doing everything myself. The music part of it, yeah, everything musically I'm doing myself. I have tracks that I do have other lyricists on. The original EP was Mark Kushak. The first one outside of him was City from Matt Oyster, and then I worked with Jason Clem, Angel Val, a variety of people for lyrics. I feel inspired from what they wrote to write music around.
And how has the audience reacted towards not only your music but your look? Because and I asked this because I think now within the last 5 or so years, it seems like the music scene has gotten a little better than it was a while back. Now we have more personalities. We have more people that want to put on a real actual rock show. So how has GrimRock been received by today's audience?
I haven't had any kind of negativity yet towards it. I mean, I'm probably haven't been in a big enough pool for that at this point. You know what I mean? I don't know. I played festivals. I played small places. I've been pretty well received otherwise. I think people are more shocked at with the way I look. I think they're expecting more like King Diamond and Slip and bands like that. And then I come out with that. I have to label it alternative rock because I have no other label for it because it crosses over all kind of things. And I think they're surprised that it ends up sounding like that in the end versus the look.
You know, you mentioned that, and I totally agree with you because there's a band out of, I think they're from England. Pretty sure they're from England. And when you're on YouTube, sometimes I hear some recommendations, and I saw these guys with had the face paint and everything. I swear, they're gonna be a Norwegian black death metal band or something, right? I start playing them. It was nothing. You ever heard of Tiger Lilies?
No, I haven't. I have to look them up.
Oh, they're amazing. They don't even play rock. It's just like the most outrageous. It's polka, it's folk, it's everything. It's highly entertaining and done in a correct way, but sometimes looks can be deceiving. But pretty much when I saw a picture of you, I knew what I was getting by the way you're holding the guitar, the way your promo shots are. And I'm pretty happy that I discovered you because I'm liking what you're doing, man. And so, with that being said, how does your musical direction looking in the future? Because I know that we're talking about influences from the styles from our time, but what in today's time, what's really catching your ear right now?
It's mostly other independent artists, to be honest with you. I've given up a lot of hope on the mainstream because the mainstream is so convoluted. With repetitive rhythms, repetitive words, repetitive beats, repetitive. It's all repetitive. You know, and I realize this is the 20-second, 30-second world of TikTok or whatever it is, but it's not my thing. And so I've been looking at other independent artists. And there's a lot of them. I've followed people from the Crom, from overseas, to Louis Tivy, to even here in Pittsburgh, 13 Occult. God Hates Unicorns, another great band from around the area. I can keep naming them just one after the other, but I'm looking at these other independent bands that do different styles, different genres, and influences from even them now.
Yeah, and I think today's artists are catching on pretty much what it is to be rock artists because I remember, like, I'm sure in your days too, we used to open up the vinyls or the cassettes and you read the liner notes, you read the lyrics, you enjoyed the pictures, you really got engulfed and get really got into these bands, and it kind of spoke to your soul in a way. And I know talking about the 20, 30-second TikToks, people that has the attention of a gnat, but I think now that I think people are coming back to it. They're coming back to the records. Eventually they'll come back to cassettes, and I think that we're in for a big explosion as far as rediscovering a great music scene.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. The time I think is right for a lot of things like D2C or direct to consumer versus streaming. I mean, with streaming, you're ultimately renting something. You're renting the use of it, and if it disappears, and it doesn't matter if it's me or a big artist like the Doors, say they decide they don't like, I don't know, Morrison Hotel, and they take it off, streaming. Then if you don't have a physical copy of it, guess what? You're out of luck. You can't listen to it. And I think a lot of what you're saying, and I've heard a lot of things from like Tony Van Veen from Discmakers and everything. They all are starting to sound like there is a resurgence of it. How well it'll take, where it'll grow, if it'll ever grow back again to even a quarter of probably what it is, who knows? I mean, it's yet to be seen. But I agree. Physical media is the way to go, regardless of who you listen to.
And it's also better for the artist because my understanding is, and somebody the other day I was having this conversation where some of these streaming services are only paying like quarter fractions of a penny per song. I mean, it's awful what's happening.
Oh yeah, I mean you get the big the big ones. You know, paying 0.3 for a stream if it makes past 31 seconds. You know, and 0.3 you have to have a lot of streams to get $1. You know, versus if somebody would purchase a CD or even download a track online. You know, from say Apple Music. There's a bigger cut there for a download. But yeah, physical media definitely is more profitable for the artist and also a label if you're on a label as well.
I prefer owning the thing, kind of like books. If I mean, you can't see my whole studio over here; it's only a small portion of it, but I can't fit between the vinyl and CDs. You can't fit them all in here because I know the day's gonna come, and it's happened. Like I have a good gym mix or a good driving mix, and all of a sudden, some of these songs just start disappearing. Was no longer
Hmm.
available. Well, damn. I like that song, and I can't put a CD in my truck because, well, I don't have a CD player now.
Yeah, I think they kind of. I don't want to say forced, but I'm going to say forced. I think they kind of forced the consumer to go a direction that not everybody was willing to go into. I'm not saying that we're old and stuck in our ways. I'm just saying I think the options for it should be there.
Yeah, and I kind of knew we were kind of fall into a little bit of a trap when they started saying, "Oh, you can just download them now," and people were you can actually find some of these like awesome vinyls like pennies on the dollar, like a Goodwill or something. I mean, I scooped
Mhm.
them up because I knew that day was going to come, and I got a lot of them on my walls here. But one day I'll do a tour of my studio. It's pretty awesome, if I don't mind saying so. But let's talk about your releases. What is your latest release?
My latest release is GR5, and that is on Golden Robot Records via Robot Distro. Um, that's my last release. I think it's 8 tracks, something like that, release. And well, I tell you that took there was a lot of stuff with that. Um, I released the song "You Belong, You See" first out of all of them, and I had this ambitious goal of making it 12 tracks, maybe even 14, sometimes 10. Just what I was thinking of the day. I was just trying to come up with a number, and then eventually I was like, you know what, I think I was going to do an EP like GrimRock Radio until I had a couple chance meetings with a couple people, and it really propelled it in a whole different direction. I had a whole different album cover until I met my tattoo model, Tattoo Baby. Who's done a lot for me and been in. She's in the "Don't You" video also, that's on YouTube. She's my cover model for that. A chance meeting off another podcast. Their audio engineer, Matt Kirshner, messaged me offline and was like, "Hey, let me mix your track," which would have been Abyss at that time. And then he went back and remixed all of them for me, and that's what I sent the label. And it just grew, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And it's really going to lead into the next album. The next album's going to be called "To Cast a Shadow." I have a cover for it. Um, it'll be I can't even give you a date. I've talked about different dates through the year, but that'll be my next release on Golden Robot Records, Robot Distro, is "To Cast a Shadow," and I should be starting at Rhythm House Studios the week of the 11th for the first track recording.
Wow, so 12 tracks. That's a lot. I'm gonna say it's a lot of pressure, but is do you find yourself not rushing your I'm gonna say you're rushing yourself to get the album out because you want to put the quality out, of
Mhm.
course, but does it feel different now that you got to put out so many songs?
No, it really doesn't. I have so many song starters. It's ridiculous. It's just about selecting from 25 candidates picked out for this particular album. And it's just a matter of cycling them down to where I want to start the album, where I want to end the album. Because obviously, I want to start the album off the same vibe as GR5, so it makes people feel comfortable with getting into it. And then I'm going to alter the sound through the album to the last track, which will lead me into the next one after that, hopefully. And a different, I don't want to say a different direction, a different feeling or a different vibe off the same thing. So each track you listen to, you can be like, oh, that's a Grim track. I recognize that, you know.
And with all the tracks that you potentially gonna lay down and eventually release, do you have one in mind that you thinking that would make a great video, as just like the one you did in the past?
Cursed Woman. I think Cursed Woman's going to be one that's going to be a great video for it. I like the feel of the track. That's a Mad Oyster one. And I actually had people picked out for different videos for this year or well, this new album. And I also am going to make one more video from the last album. It's going to be for the track Angry. I have a model from Pittsburgh that's going to help me with it, and it's going to be really intense compared to the last ones.
And so let's talk about Angry then. What is that song about, and what kind of what are your ideas for that video, if you don't mind?
Angry, the plot twist of the whole thing is that I'm going to have this particular model walking into an abandoned house, and she's going to be wearing my outfit. And I just spoil this, but she's going to be wearing my outfit, but you can't see the face, so you don't know if it's me or her, walking in. And it's going to be kind of a long shot drawn in, and then when the door shuts, she's going to take this stuff off, and she's going to be, I don't want to say Harley Quinnish, but like more, the insanity look, for this video. And pretty much as she's going to go through, and we're going to try to do some double outs with things, and I'm going to try to make an appearance in like mirrors or pictures where she's actually moving around doing the video. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be pretty cool. I think the storyline, I laid it out to her, and she's all in, and I really think that's going to be a video to really watch, when it comes out. The song itself, like you asked me about, is a reflection of myself. It's funny because you can look in the mirror, like my paint. Everybody asks me about my paint and where it comes from. But it actually, this represents my insides too. You know what I mean? Really on the nickname of Grim, looking like this. I'm just trying to, I want to say, expel that old self. You know what I mean? But it's a reminder of where I was before. As well as a look, the stage look. But the song Angry itself is really about how I feel about myself. The first lyrics start out, disappointed I am still, you know what I mean? And you don't know how I feel. And I'm talking to myself in the mirror, essentially, with this, and there's this internal conflict, that I have. And it's, unpainted, painted, my old self, my new self, there's a lot of, it's a short song, but it's aggressive, and it's really complicated, the lyrics, for how I feel.
And that's a very powerful message that you're saying right there. Now let me ask, because many years ago, back when I was an entertainer, and I had to wear, I called it my uniform, because I don't like calling them outfits, because this is my uniform. I went to work, and every time I put on the uniform, something inside me changed. It's like because I could live the character,
Mhm.
but once I dress like that character for those few minutes or a few hours, my life was changed. It's different. I am that character. And even when I was off character, sometimes even in my dreams, or I'm driving around, a little bit of piece of that character sticks in my mind. So I'm gonna throw this out there to you, my friend, where when the time comes where you're working hard, you've written the songs, the makeup comes off, the trench coat, the jackets comes off. It's the person. Once you put on your uniform and your war paint, how does that feel? There's got to be a character shift there somewhere.
There is. When I'm unpainted, I'm still Grim. Everybody still calls me Grim, my nickname. That don't ever change. When somebody calls my real name, I don't even look sometimes. It's almost crazy that I would say that, but I'm known by Grim for so long by so many people, just to hear my name, I'm just kind of looking around like, who's that? But that there's a lot of things with that. I put this paint on, I'm getting up on stage. There's a whole another person in there coming out. You know what I mean? The body language that I'm playing, that's a replication of what I'm feeling on the inside as I'm playing that. When I get to certain parts, you'll notice certain things. There's certain things that I don't change from show to show, which is a lot of things I do. One of the things I don't change is between the song Angry and You Belong You See. I link those together when I play them live. So when I'm at the end of Angry and I'm waiting for the tracks to come in for You Belong You See, I do the drop down sideways pose thing between that every time. And it's almost like a release to get to the next one. It's like a mind cleanser to get to the next track. And as soon as I come up and start hitting it and start moving around and then see the crowd, it's it's just a whole nother animal inside of me. It's like on autopilot, you know. You're playing, you know, you're running these tracks for these people, and it's awesome, you know. And then the other side of that's what happens when you come off stage. Now you're watching other bands, you know, that high slowly comes down, you know, from being there. And, you know, there's a lot of mental health issues in music that nobody talks about, you know, and everything from on stage, off stage to the music life to real life. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of things people don't talk about. Mental health's one of them, you know, how we deal with it as artists.
Absolutely true, because I think it's a positive in a sort of way once somebody goes on stage and they do what they have to do. It's like a therapy. They're singing their songs, people are liking their energy, they love the songs, they buy the albums. I think that's better than any drug out there. It's gotta be.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And then speaking of playing live, we're a little over halfway through the year already, 2025. I can't believe this year's going by so fast, my friend. I don't know how it happened, but it happens every year. The older we get, where are you going to be in the rest of 2025? Because I know now we're going to be here in mid-August, but I know you have a lot of shows lined up. So where are you going to be, my friend?
So, as far as the next so many months, I'm going to try to rein it back a little bit and get working on this album because I really do need new material out. And so I'm going to work on my album mostly, but come September, October, that's my time of the year. You know, that's my thing. September, I have Hell Harvest Fest, you know, in Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania, and then I haven't posted a lot of things on my events beyond that because I'm still shoring up dates and places. But don't worry, there'll be shows, especially Halloween. You know what I mean? I may even show up at your Spirit Halloween shop because I've done that already and took pictures there.
Yeah, actually, a lot of things in my studio here came from somewhere around there. I just haven't posted them up, but no, that's perfect. And then I know that you say working on the new album,
Mhm.
and then also your shirts are available. I've seen the designs, pretty awesome. So where can the listeners of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday not only find out more about you, where you're going to be, where can they find the merchandise?
You can go to grimrockandroll.com and everything's there. Everything from, you know, the page to see what's going on, what's new, to pictures, to a listen page with whatever YouTube video there is out, and just, you can stream right from there. Apple Music, Amazon Music, I forget what else is on there, Spotify, and then got a merch page. Order it, get shipped out usually same day, sometimes next day. I say 2 to 3 on there, but it really is almost same day sometimes. There's an events page, and then if you were somebody looking for somebody to play, I got a press kit on there. This Grim's for you.
Excellent. And I really appreciate you coming on the show. And it's one of those things, it's sometimes a mystery how I discover artists and it resonates with me. I don't know. There's something about what you're doing that really hits me. And I really love, like I said, I really love what you're doing. And I look forward to meeting you down the road. I'm sure we're going to be at the crossroads somewhere. We'll run into each other. And honestly, I'll be able to spot you from a mile away once I see you. Because if you're looking as awesome as you are right now, it's like, hey, how you doing? And we'll share some stories. You know, and in fact, I love to bring you back again on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday once your new album drops or the video comes out, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the creative process of the new CD, and then, oh my gosh, I completely forgot to ask. Now, with the new CD, it's available through which record label is that?
It's Golden Robot Records through Robot Distro, but I do have physical CDs on my website because like we talked before, I believe in physical media. You know, so there is physical CDs from that new album on there.
Awesome, my friend, and I really appreciate you being on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. I know I'll be seeing you at the festival soon or a club somewhere, and we'll have a good conversation. Thank you so much for being on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday.
Absolutely appreciate you having me.
Thank you, my friend. A huge thank you to GrimRock for being an incredible guest on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. And now get ready from the brand new album, GR5. You can grab your copy at grimrockandroll.com. That's grimrockandroll.com. GrimRock and Golden Robot Records are unleashing the monster track, Don't Ya, right now.
All content on this broadcast is a property of Diego the Podcaster and is served directly from our servers with no modification, redirects, or rehosting. All celebrity impersonators are paid performers. The impersonated celebrities do not endorse or promote any views or opinions expressed by our guests, Diego the Podcaster, or Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. The information shared on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday is provided on an as-is basis, with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness.